Okay, we are live. Wonderful. Hopefully, how are you all doing? Um, yeah, we're going to talk about opinions, which is almost contrary to wisdom. Is it? Is it not? I we're going to talk about whatever pops up in the chat here. Um, but it's it's funny how it's so easy to have an opinion, but gaining wisdom is much more difficult. Hi there, KP Heathen. Good to see you, as always. Um, I'll just give it a few seconds while people are joining. These live streams are like at this time of the day, it's like early morning if you're in Norway, or Germany, well, Europe, and it's late night if you are in North America, I guess. Diane, Laura, Abdulaziz, Lord Rasilan, wonderful to see you all. Gravity of Truth is here. Hello. Carola is here. Wonderful to see you all. So why am I talking about this thing about opinions? Everyone's got an opinion. Not everyone has wisdom, So I uploaded a video that I filmed just briefly from my boat, and I have some work to do on my boat. It's a sailing boat, smaller sailing boat, and it's on shore. So that's on my channel, Bjorn Outdoors. It's linked to that channel in the video description. And there's ideally it should be sandblasted below the waterline now, and then have a few layers of epoxy and then some new anti-fouling on top of that. And people were very soon to point that out, very quick to point that out. Absolutely, what I should do. And one person there wrote that I should skip the weights and instead take care of my boat, and all of that. And it's like, first of all, having someone to sandblast my boat will cost more than the boat. This is Norway. People will charge you like $100 per hour and VAT on top of that. So I can't do that. Also, my neck is not in a good state, and my shoulders can't do that kind of work, sanding off that. So that's the reason. That's why it looks like that. It doesn't harm the boat. But it might have looked nicer if it was sanded off on all that. That's not the point of this live stream, but it's annoying. And I got a reminder there on why I don't do videos from my boat. Because when I've done that, you always have these, excuse my expression here, smart asses out there who will write things that are just not very nice. And as if, there could be something straight in front of me in the boat, right? And they will point that out, like, oh, have you noticed this and that? And I want to reply to those comments and say that, no, I've had this boat for, how long is it now? Is it 20 years? No, it's about 20 years. Never seen that before. thank you for pointing that out, that thing that I'm looking at straight at every time I'm in the boat. Have never seen that before. Like, so everyone's got an opinion, but and that's easy. That's so easy. And people will share their opinion, and they're very eager about opinions these days. Not so much when it comes to wisdom and gaining wisdom. And we see it everywhere. We see it in politics. We see it in social media, of course. People have opinions. And if I say something here, maybe not so much here, but in social media, if I write something that people are getting emotional about, they will suddenly, all of a sudden, there will be a huge number of self-proclaimed experts in complex matters, and they will tell you how it really is. So yeah, that's it's funny how that is, and yeah, I also saw a comment there. Yeah, I should rub some essential oils on my neck, and then it would miraculously heal itself. Yeah. Now this is going to be. That was my little rant. Now I'm going to. Now let's just have an informal talk, conversation here. So I'm going to just scroll up and let's see. What do you want to talk about? Because that was basically what I wanted to say. Just get that off my chest. Dead Wolf Resistance 13. Thank you for saying that. Josiah Christensen says gyms are prison yards people pay to use. Prove me wrong. I have never been in a prison yard, so I wouldn't know. But no, I don't agree with that. It's an area where you can practice your sport. How many days a week I do? I train. Well, I lift weights. I have 3 workouts per week. Phenomeninja says, was your teaching style to present the topic and then afterwards get feedback and interaction from your students? I've never been a teacher, so I don't know. I never worked as a teacher, so I don't know what you mean. Patricia says, I hope everyone had a nice day. So do I. Let's see. So no, I've never been a teacher, and I don't know what you. No, I know I've not been a professor. No. Actually, I don't have any title from my studies in university, which is because I decided to, instead of finishing my diploma assignment in economics, I instead got a deal for my first book. So I went for that instead. And after that, it was not financially viable to spend time on that diploma thing. I would have wanted. It would have been cool to be have had been. No, what's it would have been cool to have been a professor. Thank you, Viking Graphics. So Ben is asking, what was the most valuable trait a person could have in the Viking Age? Well, we don't know, but I think that being trustworthy and someone you could actually depend on was seen as necessary, um, because they relied on each other in their their tribes, their on the farm, those extended families and the people there, they relied on each other. So yeah. We don't have snow here in southern Norway anymore, luckily. I don't I don't like snow anymore. Leslie says, I was a professor at the University of Kentucky. Too many politics involved. Okay. Josiah is asking, do you think willpower is something you're born with or can be acquired? Certainly, there is a genetic aspect there, but it's your upbringing has a lot to do with that, and I think it can be acquired. Yeah. Patricia says you could teach writing. Well, I guess I could, but they're not hiring people like me anymore. I don't think so. I think pretty much everything has, all the doors have been closed. It happened very quickly, you know. I could always get a job at a grocery store or something like that, maybe, or maybe they would say that I'm too old now. No, my impression is that I would have to apply for jobs. No, I don't need a job, first of all, so I'm very lucky in that sense. But my impression is that if I'm 52 years old, I'm white and a man, right? They don't want people like me. Well, they might want it, but there are politics involved. Me teaching writing, I don't know. I don't want to, but I just get a general impression. Maybe I'm wrong here, but maybe no. I feel young, but Laura, but I'm not seen as young by our current society. And Donald says I'm 64, white and a man, and maybe you can relate to this, Donald. But I feel like the doors have been closed for us now, and it's happened quite quickly, I would say. But it's like we're not wanted anywhere. Uh, I and I feel that this is a general thing, and lots of people are talking about it. And there is ageism out there, and you know, so the ideal person for a job is a 25-year-old with 30 years of work experience and a university degree. That's the idea. No kids, you know. But I mean, no, I see it everywhere, and people are talking about it. So okay, let's talk. Let us. So can we do? Let's talk about this. The story that I hear people telling is that if you're in your 50s and you're made redundant, or you can't continue in your present job, you will have a hard time finding work because you're seen as too old. Now, statistically, and I looked into this, people in their 50s are much less likely to take days off, like because they're sick and so on, much less likely than people in their 20s. But still, doesn't matter. There is ageism out there, and it brings with it a hopelessness, and it brings with it a sense of. I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but when you're in your 50s, you're not old enough for retirement, like you have a pension. And I think there will be in English, it's not called pension, it's called social security. I don't know what you have, what you get, or supposed to have to be given when you're old enough by the state, or something like that. Is that called social security? Um, you know, I think that will be around for maybe 20 more years, but not after that. Not after that, because the numbers don't add up. I don't know how they will set things up and how they will do it after that. But okay, so there is pension now. But if you're in your 50s, you're not old enough. And also, if you're made redundant, or you find yourself without work in your 50s, you're going to struggle. And that's the reward you get for having worked all your life, paid taxes. You're not wanted in the workforce anymore. Um, might be some exceptions, but it's going to be difficult. Um, and that's just how it is, and it shouldn't be like that, but that seems to be the case. And a lot of people in their 50s are just they're not giving up, but they stop trying to get a new job. They stop trying to. I mean, there will be people out there who will say that, oh, you should get get some kind of extra education, extra degree or something. And I'm like, in your 50s? Yeah, if you really want to, if that's your interest, if you're like very interested in learning Icelandic, or history or whatever, um, yeah, do that. But you're not going to be hired because of that anywhere. um, because you're too old. No, you're not too old, but you're seen as too old. Now, I've never been like applying for. I don't think I've applied for jobs ever, but I think these interviews, when you apply for a job, and I imagine if you're 55 or something and you come into an office there, so there's a 30-year-old sitting there, or 30 something, and it's like, no. No. So what do you do then if you're in your 50s and you were handed the freedom of not having a job anymore? What do you do? What do you do? Um, Steph says universities don't teach anything you can't already learn online. I don't know, but I get your point. If you There is no point in paying for maybe a university degree if you just want to learn history. But obviously, if you want to work in that field, you need a degree, because it doesn't. Nobody cares if you said, "Oh, I studied history online somewhere." No, nobody cares. But you know, um, let's see here. Now, Mark says, I love the idea of UBI and UB healthcare. I understand that it would have to come from somewhere, but it is a great idea. Yeah, it's a universal basic income. It is a good idea, but only if the state are being honest about. No, universal basic income. We could do that in Norway because we have the oil money. So instead of, okay, here comes a little rant maybe. So instead of emptying the Norwegian oil fund, as it's popular, or pension fund, for money and weapons to Ukraine, which they're doing now, it seems, they could say, okay, we will use that money to support people to have a better life, you know? But no, we're not going to do that. And universal basic healthcare, we have that in Norway on paper, but there are many, many things they will not treat in the in that universal basic healthcare, because it's not seen as necessary. So people suffer. People suffer. And I will just add to that when you start looking into things that people suffer from, you start researching it, you will see that there are actual cures out there. Why the fuck are the doctors, sorry again, not recommending that? It's because those are not, in many cases, it's because those medications, those cures, are based on medicines without a patent. So big pharma is not making big money anymore, you know? In many cases, I believe that is why. But yeah, so let's move on. Yeah, well, so, there are states, like countries, with enough wealth to pay their citizens a good amount of money every year, and they wouldn't even start emptying the fund, the saved up wealth. It would just be off the interest after inflation has been subtracted. But they're not going to do that. Lavalata 1981 says, how you worked in that industry. Okay, patents are everything. It irritates me, you know. So, okay. Hotep is mentioning Amazon here. Actually, I saw that was a video. Actually, Amazon is experiencing the worst year ever. People are not buying as much stuff anymore, which is sort of a good thing. But it is indicative of the economy, I guess, which is should tell us something. I truly believe that there's a big crash coming. Now, that might not be like in the financial market, might not be, I don't know, but there's a big crash in the sense a big sudden change coming because this system can't go on. The numbers don't add up. And at the moment, our politicians and their handlers, they are trying to fix this by just taxing people into oblivion, removing the middle class, removing the concept of owning your own stuff. And that's how they are trying to fix it. They're not going to fix it like that. Well, they're not trying to fix it. They're trying to, I don't know what they're trying on, honestly, but there's a big crash coming. Could be in the socio-economic or socio-cultural, if that's a word, arena. A big crash, big sudden change is coming, and we need to be ready for that. And I don't know if we are ready for that. As I said, people just have opinions, and they're not willing to invest in wisdom, are they? And I think there's a lot of anger. There's a lot of there's a lot of anger among people now, and people have been conditioned to think that what we are doing now is natural. But working 8 hours a day just to pay taxes, and you can't even, well, you have to, you can hardly pay your bills. You can hardly pay your bills, and you work all the time. And that's wrong, and I think that when people wake up to that fact that this is wrong, this is us being taken advantage of, there's going to be a big crash. And we are seeing it already. We are seeing that people just opt out of that more and more if they can, but not everyone can do that. But you have the illusions on Instagram and also YouTube, oh, I live in my van and everything is so nice and wonderful. Just travel around and I'm sure it's possible, but I don't think it looks like it in real life. It doesn't look like in those videos, of course, but but there's a big crash coming. Not like the financial crisis, not like that, but a systemic crash, if that's the right word. Yeah. And I don't know. We might just they might just throw us into a war. At least here in Europe, they might just do that. Try to fix things like that. I was just going to add something here to the whole thing. Imagine if you had to hunt for food or make your own clothes and furniture and stuff way more than 8 hours a day. Well, yeah, but all of that is something I would want to do, and if you go to hunter-gatherer cultures, and people have done that. They work around, well, the things they do that they have to do. It's about 4 hours per day. 4 hours per day. Yeah, and also Wendy is asking, how often do you need a new chair? Like never. Oh, it's okay. So SCB says the Bible actually tells me this future reality. Well, the Bible is it's not that original, actually. I know people hate me for saying this, but it's been inspired by many other sources. And I think what you see in the Bible is something, well, obviously you can see in other religious texts and myths and so on. This is the human realization, the human experience. This is something, there is nothing unique about what we are going through now. It's happened before. So the Bible reflects that. It reflects that human experience, and it is looking back. It's drawing upon the resources and the experiences of people in the past. What we are seeing now is not exactly the same as things that have happened before. But let's see. Yes, I'll get to the super chats. Yes, I'll get to the super chats. I do scroll up and then I see the super chats. Hold on, just a second. So it's like a reflection of what we know and what we have learned as human beings, So not trying to talk down to Christians at all, but it's like, yes, the Bible will tell you about this, but it is because this has happened before, since ancient times. And we are going through something now that, to me, reminds me of getting back into the feudal system. That is part of it, at least, Let's see. Angela Baby Carson, thank you for the super chat. You are saying that you homestead, you grow food, and you are asking people to follow you. So you have a YouTube channel, I guess. Wonderful. That's awesome. Let's see here. Patricia, thank you so much for that wonderful donation. That is very, very kind of you. Let's see. I've kind of figured it out. I have figured it out. A good life. You want to hear? I can tell you what a good life is. And it's not for everyone, but it's for most people. Most people. To most people, the following would be a good life. So you have like a village, not like a modern village, but houses and food. There could be like 5 families, 10 families, maybe 20 families, a homestead, not community, like or a tribe, if you will. And that would be the setting. and you would help each other. Um, okay, are people not seeing the image here? Not seeing the live stream? Is that just a few people? Or let me know if that is a problem, because then I will try to do something about it. It's back. Okay. Yeah, I didn't get any hair. I didn't see any hair. Okay, wonderful. So that's a good life, the setting for a good life. You have trees, you have fields, you have a social setting where you are not alone. Now, I truly believe that we are not designed to be alone. Some people say they like to be alone. I like to be alone, but I I can tell you without getting into details that I was alone so much. I've been alone so much for my entire adult life that I got sick from that. And because we're not made to be alone. Um, so a sort of small village, a small tribes in the jungle and so on. Hold on, I will fix this. I will fix this. It's back again. Yeah. So go back to villages and so on. No, sorry, to tribes in the jungle and so on. They pretty much live in such a way. Uh, there are differences, but um, and yeah. So the social setting is that you're not alone. You can be alone, but you are not alone. You have people that you work with, like hands-on tasks, and you work together on that. I think that is the good life. I truly believe that, because you can go out into the forest and buy a plot of land there, and you can build a cabin and you can live there alone. But you're probably going to suffer, because we're not designed to live like that. I get it. It sounds tempting if you live in a city and there are people everywhere. That it must sound extremely tempting. But I can tell you that, as someone who lives, I mean, I live next to the forest. Part of the forest is on my land, and during daytime, it's like being in the forest, and that's nice. But it, yeah, uh, it's a little bit on and off today with the connection. I am sorry about that. I can't do anything about it. I had switched to the best possible Wi-Fi connection and all of that. So yeah, but anyway, um, th- th- this is how we are supposed to live, and you're supposed to own stuff like your own land, your own house, and so on. And you're also supposed to work with people, other people, and enjoy life with other people. Imagine you have a long table, get together in the barbecue and so on. That's nice, you know. uh, you get the point here. I think that's the setting for a good life. We're not supposed to be working 8 to 4 or 9 to 5, go back home in an apartment. We look at social media or we look at news, and it's all horrible. Everything is horrible. And there are, these fascist killers, um, baby killers, in Gaza, and you have war in Sudan, and we can't do anything about it. And it, for me, it 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 hurts when I hear about these kids being killed, and of course it hurts, and because you wouldn't be a human being if that doesn't hurt when you hear about that. But it's too much, and we can't do anything about it. So, and I think, should we stop watching the news? No, I don't think so, because we need to stay informed. So we should watch the news. We should be we should yes, we should watch the news and decipher what they are really saying, if you get my meaning. Rick Mountain says, find a way to be out in the open air and sun for at least 30 minutes per day. Absolutely. I truly believe that. Absolutely. Good advice. Having said that, I would like to turn that around. And this is my goal. Find a way. Rick Mountain says, if I can rephrase what you said there in a way, don't be inside more than 30 minutes per day. Be outside all day, Yeah. So that's how it should be. I know that if you can start with 30 minutes, it's better than nothing. All day is better. So now I'm competing in the nationals in powerlifting on Saturday, and I'll be back home on Sunday. From Sunday, I will be sleeping outside. And I think that's the health, the physical and mental health benefits of that will be noticeable. Patricia, did you say don't be inside more than 330 minutes? No, I said I tried to say don't be inside more than 30 minutes per day. So I mean, we should be outside most of the time. Carola says our brain is not meant to carry the pain of the whole world. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be, I'll just have a tent in my garden or a hammock. I haven't decided yet. Kingdoms and Kobolds, thank you for those kind words. But yeah, it's not easy to have. If you have a lot of empathy, it's not so easy, Empathy is, and the more advanced you are, the more likely you are to have empathy as an animal. And humans, we spend a lot of time with our mothers, and hopefully fathers as well. But we are taught empathy. Empathy is, it's, what I can tell when public people, like not public people, but people in the public, like politicians and so on. Again, it's a bit on and off. Can't do anything about it. Let me give you some examples of people I think have very little empathy. Yeah, I have talked about the Christian nationalists. I think that's based on a lack of empathy, the whole thing. And the leaders of that movement, they don't have much empathy. Trump, no, he does not have much empathy. And I can tell that because of the way he finds it so easy to ridicule other people. If you have a lot of empathy, you don't do that easily because you have learned that we all struggle. We all struggle. Obvious example, Bill Gates. Well, I think there's a lot of other things going on there, but uh, and his mate Fauci also seems like someone with no empathy. Well, also his track record, he doesn't have empathy. Elon Musk, I disagree. I think Elon Musk does have empathy. He seems like he comes across as someone who can't handle empathy. He comes across as someone who has empathy, but he can't handle it. And he gets things wrong all the time when the way the talks. No, I think he has empathy. No, it's not a politically correct thing to say these days, but I might be wrong. I don't know the guy. I might be wrong about Trump as well. These people often have a persona, and that persona just kicks in when they get on stage or when they're interviewed. So this is just me guessing. But what I'm trying to say is that empathy is not advanced. It most likely will have not much empathy. So yeah. Okay. I might get back to and do another live stream, but the connection is not good here. So, well, I don't know. I can't do another live stream right now, but the connection is, I can't do anything about it. So, yeah. So I'm going to end the live stream there. And let's see. Yeah, I just want to say that the new thing that seems to be trending now is that Christians should not show empathy. There is something that toxic. They're talking about toxic empathy and so. So that's probably a topic for a separate live stream, I guess. But we'll end the live stream there, and thank you all for coming.